And just like that, you are inside the festival with the one and only Africa Allah right here on Carnival Radio, syndicated across Discover Music Channel by Playmaster Today. Today, I have one of the organizers and creators of the premium hospitality brand out of Nassau, Bahamas for Bahamas Carnival weekend. It is the I would want to say the brainchild. You're the brainchild behind La Vie, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I would say it's definitely my baby.
Okay, so there we go. This is Doug. Doug, let everybody know who you are, where you come from, and what makes this conversation important.
So yeah, so born and raised in the Bahamas, Nassau baby. Grew up in as any other typical Bahamian. Got exposed to Carnival in my 20s. First trip exposure, like real exposure, was in Trinidad. So I mean, to say that opened my eyes to a whole new world would be an understatement. I've known a lot of people that started in like Miami Carnival, like a little dose here and there. I'm like, I know Soca and Calypso for years. They used to come to the Bahamas during the Christmas time, perform at during the different hotels. My parents listened to music, but my personal first introduction was in Trinidad itself. And man, that completely opened my eyes. And so since then, I've chased quite a number of carnivals around to different countries. And so when we had the opportunity to actually host a carnival in the Bahamas, which honestly in the early days I never even thought that was possible. I was extremely excited about the opportunity. One, to experience something that I had grown to love in my own hometown and to see others experience what I had experienced, and then the opportunity that, hey, I might actually be able to be the foundation for offering these type of services as well. I've been to so many different type of events around the Caribbean at different carnivals. And so the opportunity to host my own event, man, I jumped at that, right? And it was me and a few other friends. We had the same dream. We, again, carnival chasers together around the Bahamas. And so, yeah, this is an opportunity that I was very excited about. And so we're any conversation that continues to develop carnival in the Bahamas, yeah, I would love to be a part of.
You found a niche within a niche, right? You cater to the affluent. You have a premium product that requires premium behavior and premium costs. Anybody can have a party, but you have created an experience, and it's the only all-inclusive premium experience during Bahamas Carnival weekend. Tell us what made you come up with La Vie, because you said you had an opportunity to participate in Carnival when it began, but what made you say, I want to do an event during this time?
Great question. So when Bahamas Carnival started in 2015, there was events not controlled by individuals, but mostly from the Bahamas government, Ministry of Tourism. They had a carnival village. And so it was more of an experience. I wasn't even thinking about hosting an event during that time. I was like, hey, I'm just excited to be a part of this. We play mass and go to the different events they had. They had, a big concert for Marshall Montano come down. I mean, that was amazing. And then they had it in 2016 and then 2017. I'm like, hold on. Okay. Now, since it's starting to become a thing, then you start to realize that, okay, there could be more. Like, though this is amazing, there's something missing here. And I've been to carnivals in different countries. And so I'm used to, obviously, the different type of events and fetes and stuff they have before the road. And that is something we were missing in the Bahamas. We were missing a juve. We were missing a nice, cool event. We were missing boat cruises. We were missing all-inclusive events. And so for me, my two favorite things going to carnivals, I always look for, outside of obviously playing mask, is juve and all-inclusive. I personally love an all-inclusive because for me, it makes total sense. I pay one fee, I get in there and I can have myself a time. I don't have to be waiting at a bar, fighting with other people to pay for drinks or pay for food or standing on long lines. Like for me, that kind of diminishes the experience. And not saying that there's anything wrong with those type of events, but I'm speaking for me personally. I go to event and I have to stand on long lines, fighting with people to buy a drink, and then they don't have the right change or the card machine isn't working. And so it kind of makes me like, okay, after I get these two drinks, I don't want to go back. But then, of course, 2 minutes later, I already finished my drink and I do want to go back. But then I have to think about that. And it kind of takes away from me from a bit of experience. Right. And so for me, again, going to those type of events and traveling to Carnival, that was the first time I even experienced like all inclusive events. I didn't even know like that was a thing before Trinidad or Jamaica or Bermuda or wherever else I went to. So experiencing those for the first time, I was like, wow, I love this. And so when I realized, okay, there's a market here in the Bahamas, so we have Carnival, why not bring that same thing here? People are traveling to the Bahamas for Carnival. They're used to what is offered in these other countries. Again, the countries I listed, St. Lucia, Grenada, Barbados, and stuff. And so they'll be coming to the Bahamas looking for those exact team type of experiences. They're going to look for Juve. They're going to look for different type of events, all inclusive. And so why not provide it? And then for me, why not provide something I love, right? And so that was the idea of why I chose an all inclusive event. And just to touch back on something you said regarding so it's definitely a premium event, 100%. My goal is to always give everyone top notch experience for their dollar. Whatever the dollar amount is, I want people to leave feeling like, damn, I want them to feel like they robbed me. You know what I mean? Like if I charge them $10, I want them to feel like I gave them $20 worth of experience. And so I just want to touch on what you said about affluent. I don't, some people will use that word for an all inclusive, but I don't think so because I look at it like this. If you go to an event and, obviously it's a less dollar amount to get in, and then you have to buy drinks, you have to buy food. And like I say, you then have to stand online, you have to fight with cash or fight with your card for drinks and food. That stuff adds up. It adds up in the dollar amount and it adds up in the experience received. At an all inclusive, yeah, you pay a higher dollar up front. So you have that sticker shock, but then you don't think about money again for the rest of the night. You don't think about asking a friend, hey, can you buy this for me? I'll pay you back later, or any of that type of stuff. Once you're in, you don't think about money for the rest of the event, and you can experience everything that event has to offer without any worries about touching your wallet.
You're right. But on the end of the promoter, being you and your partners, doesn't that become expensive considering all of the new fees that have been levied against various islands and or imports?
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's definitely not a cheap event. You could have a much cheaper event and host that, whether just a regular paid event, you pay a certain amount and then you come in and buy drinks and food, or you do a boat cruise or a pool fed or whatever you decide. So the cost is there, but I think there's a value there as well too. And so every year we put on this event, and I have to say it is stressful at times because it's stressful to try to find, okay, I want to give my customers or people who come in a new experience every year. But at the same time, this isn't a charity, right? Or at the same time, I am not funded by Lavi doesn't have any major backers. We're not funded by the Ministry of Tourism, which is an extension of the Bahamas government. This year, I am happy to say that Carnival Brewery became a sponsor for us for the first time. Actually, our title sponsor, and we were backed by the other brands, Hennessy, not Hennessy, Ricardo, Seagrams, and Johnny Walker, and they made Hennessy our title sponsor. And so Hennessy came out in a big way for La Vida this year. I mean, I cannot give enough thanks for how well Hennessy was presented. But outside of that, and all the previous years before, it was 100% funded by myself. So it's not cheap, but we work hard, and with partners and relationships, we find a way to bring this experience without feeling like we're demanding too much. And I'm happy to say that I have not found anyone that has said that our event is too much. Actually, would we really hire is from, and this would obviously be from people who travel in from other countries and been around other events, and known individuals so well that I know go around carnival chasers and say that this is by far the cheapest all-inclusive event they have ever been to, and they had an amazing time. So that makes me feel good that okay, we're doing something right.
Right, because the word across the internet and the cyber streets are that it was one of the most cost effective experiences that they've had in a Caribbean country. And that says a lot. But you mentioned that this was the first year that you had a title sponsor that came in and did it in a big way. That only proves that if you continue putting your feet to the pedal, you'll be able to come out on top. When you analyze the landscape of your Friday party or Friday parties in Nassau, how do you define success for La Vie?
So I define successful
Is
of
it capacity, brand statements, or is it operational fluidity?
all, actually. You hit it right on
Okay,
the head. I would
explain.
definitely say all. So different metrics. So one, success for me and my team is when we execute everything we set out to do. Right. And so that is the first level of success. Now,
Okay.
because making a ton of money and you didn't execute successfully means nothing. Because then at that point, you're just essentially robbing your patrons, right? So for me, success is we executed flawlessly. We have our troubles in the background, but for people coming to our event, they don't see any of that. They just see everything they expected and more. So that's the first thing. And then once you get past that, then success is okay, did we provide a better experience than we did last year or the previous year? And so if we could see people that return, I try, me and my team, and I have an amazing team. Again, this would not be possible without my team. So when I say I'm really mean we. And so we look for people that familiar faces who would have been there the previous years, or even if we communicating with them online. And we ask them, first of all, are you enjoying yourself? Yes? Okay. Are you enjoying yourself more than you did last year? Or what could we have done better? Right. And so if every response we get is they are enjoying themselves just as much or more than last year, then that's definitely a level of success because that means we're staying consistent. It's like you go to your favorite restaurant, you go to a restaurant. What makes a restaurant your favorite restaurant is consistency, right? You don't want to go there one day and the food is great, and then you go back the next time and the food sucks, right? So I want people who come to La Vie year after year to have the same great experience or better. Right, so that for me is success. And then you go down into okay, were we profitable or did we at least break even? Right? Did we cover all of our expenses to throw this event plus more? Anything more is obviously bonus, but did we at least cover our expenses? And then did we achieve being able to get other brands in the market to want to partner with us? And that was our main goal for the past 2 years. And like I mentioned earlier, we were able to achieve that this year. Hennessy Carnival Browns wasn't a title sponsor last year, but they did reach out to us and say, hey, we like what you're doing. And they did offer some free products. So shout out again to Carnival Brewery. And because we did such a nice job last year and we've been consistent, that's how we were able to gain them this year, right? And so obviously the hopes is that we will maybe pick up another sponsor, big sponsor next year. We continue to provide same level as we did the previous years and more.
La Vie enforces a resort elegance aesthetic profile. How do you engineer an environment where attendees feel pampered, elite, all while giving them the freedom to vet at high intensity levels?
Great question. Honestly, by looking at it, what would I like to enjoy myself? And then talking to different people and asking them, what would you like to see at an all inclusive? What would be the perfect event, perfect party for you to go to? And so when I step into a fed, what I want to receive and how I want to be treated and the experience I'd like to receive, I ensure that everybody walking through the doors of La Vie receive that and more. And so I don't want to be just another all inclusive. I want it to be, oh man, I want to be that all inclusive. Like when people talk about all inclusive, regardless whether they travel to the Bahamas, Jamaica, Trinidad, wherever, I want La Vie always to come in their mind when they think about all inclusive. Right. And so by doing that, yes, you have the drinks, you have the food, you have the music, the talent, the DJs, and everything else, but it's also customer service. Like I can tell you, this year was the first year I've had multiple people come to me and talk in detail, in depth about our staff that was on the grounds, like keeping the grounds clean and the bathroom services. Like that's something people don't think about, right? So you think about, okay, how do I have a successful event? Let me make sure I have the drinks. Let me make sure I have the food. Let me make sure I have these other services. And they are definitely great things to have. But a lot of times, and my own personal experience as well, even going to some all inclusive events, some premium events, the bathroom is a nightmare. And if the bathroom is a nightmare for a guy, I could only imagine what it is for a woman, right? And so you use the bathroom once because you really have to, you don't want to use it again. And that again impacts your experience at the event. And so I made sure that that's not a thing that anyone would ever have to worry about. Right. So I partnered with a really great company and they have been with us for several years now. And they make sure the bathroom experience is amazing, right? So like, and not just amazing, like as it should be, right? Like you should be able to party as much as you want and not fear going to having to use the bathroom, right? And so for me that was my biggest takeaway this year. Like everything else went fine, but I couldn't believe like how many people came up to me and just raved about the bathroom. And so for me, that was
Yeah.
also a metric of success.
Yes, and I have to commend you on that because I went to Rolling Loud, and if you didn't catch that bathroom before that first hour, dog eat your lunch, but it does taint the experience. Kamalami Place served as your anchor for 2026. What unique logistics challenges or design advantages did this specific site present when laying out the premium footprint?
I would say because it's a venue that is designed to host events, they had a lot of things already in place that we didn't have to create. So, like the stage environment, the bar, the lights, and the power. So we still had additional power on site, but because it's already a venue designed to host events, they had good layout for power all around the grounds. And that helped a lot because that reduced us having to run power to certain places and come up with different ways. And they had a lot of lights in place as well. Just aesthetically, lights were run nicely. And so that saved us on cost. So some of the design stuff we were able to either utilize from them or piggyback and enhance. So that helps a lot when you rather than go into an open space and then you have to design and build everything from the ground up as well as break down without damaging and destroying so that you can reuse for a future date. So that helped a lot. For challenges, I don't think we had any challenges this year. I would say in previous years, like we started a commodity place, I think in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, or 2023. The challenge was that okay, how will people find this place, right? If you're coming in as a tourist, how do you find, because it's not on the ocean side, so it's not like on the downtown or ocean side road where it's easy to find. You have to come in town a bit. And so we kind of worried about, okay, will people be able to find this? Should we maybe do like a bus service to help people come here? But hey, thankfully Google makes it all happen, and Come Island Place is easily found on Google. And so we had no issues with people coming. So that worked out pretty good. And it has been ever since.
Now, the first time I heard you guys were going to Kamalami Place, I was like, babe, why?
You weren't the only.
And this is me, and only because I'm a Bahamian. You know what I mean? Like I know
Mhm.
the landscape of the city, and I
Mhm.
understand what traffic looks like on a Friday afternoon in Nassau.
Mhm.
I think with the change in the date, we kind of get a blind because we don't have that kind of traffic, that magnitude of traffic anymore.
Yeah.
But I was very skeptical about the location until I went, and I was like, "This is breathtaking."
Hmm. Hmm.
I felt like Alice in Wonderland. Like, oh,
Perfect.
okay, there's
Hmm.
this little door and it takes me here, and it just was beautiful. And I was like, wow, you guys really executed something beautiful. I have to commend you on that. Like, I know I'm commending you on a lot of stuff, but yeah, I really think that you guys. I think it's worth all of the noise in the market. It's one
Yeah.
thing for you to believe in your product and say, we are this, but it's another thing for you to deliver and everybody else is in agreement.
No, I appreciate that. I
Now,
appreciate.
we're gonna deconstruct the strategy behind the compressed promotional window, right? We introduced Bahamas Carnival 2026 in June 2025. And we began marketing. I want to say that marketing actually started 3 months after we introduced the date. And that had to do, and when I say marketing, meaning that everybody began to physically take part because of course the information was out from as early as June 2025, but there was no real traction behind it because everybody was doing their summer carnivals, etc., right? October we started taking a stance to really push it, and then the Christmas came and there were obstacles because election was called. And while that may mean nothing anywhere else in the world, or I should say in the US, in the Caribbean, it's a very big thing
Yes, it is.
because all of the businesses that you would rely on to support your marketing are now focusing on the political sphere. And
That's correct.
we face several challenges in getting content out to the local market. So much so, and I don't know if this was strategic or intentional, but you guys were the last on the official list of events to drop tickets. Was that like, walk me through the war room during that phase? Was this a calculated play on consumer scarcity or a response to behind the scenes logistical friction?
So yeah, the war room probably was a lot of friction on this topic. Yeah. So there was some members on the team that definitely wanted to come out earlier with tickets. I'm going to be responsible and say I am the holdout for why we came out later than others. And I thought, okay, we had good time for it. Other stuff was going on. We came up with the promotional flyer, wanted to see the response, and still drum up some stuff behind the scenes. So we can definitely debate whether we could have should have come out earlier or later. I think the way I still personally believe the way we did it was right. There's always room for improvement, 100%. I think we made up for it by hitting the ground strong, like strong, especially coming up towards the event. If you were following our page and traction, we had tons of content being dropped every day. Different push happening across the media platforms. We had radio ads. We had stuff in the papers. I mean, we were hitting it hard, and that was always the plan. This wasn't like to make up. That was always the plan. But there was definitely different opinions on when we should drop. And so there was a compromise made, and we came out when we came out. Now, will that change for next year? I think it probably will. We probably do a bit more marketing early on for sure. When we release tickets, that's still to be determined. I will admit we haven't spoken about when we will release tickets for next year, but there's no I can't give a real reason on why we released tickets this year when we did, other than I thought at some points it was too early, and then some people on the team thought, okay, we should be releasing early.
In a sluggish market, attendees often hesitate due to decision fatigue. How did
Mhm.
your team shift your messaging to convince international and local carnival goers that La Vie remained the mandatory Friday product?
There's two elements to this. So I know with our local market, I know how our local market behaves. They will not engage early. That is, I think every promoter will agree with that. So we always have two waves. I don't know if this is the same for everyone. Some people I spoke to, they say the same, but I'll speak for La Vie. There are always two major waves for our ticket sales. We have the early bird. So whenever we do early bird, we always have a high spike because those would be folks that been to past previous La Vie events or people that heard about it and they're coming out for the first time because they have heard about it from someone or just observed it and they missed it the previous and now they want to catch it this time. So then we have a high spike. And then it's a lull in the middle for the local market. And then coming down towards the end, like I'm talking the week of, all the way to the day of, we have numbers upon numbers upon numbers from the local market. From the international perspective, that's a bit different because people love to travel. These are people that they join your page, they're just waiting on you to drop tickets so that they can pick them up, right? Because they already know months in advance. I'm going to go to the Bahamas this year, and this is they're telling themselves this from January, February. The carnival isn't until June, and so they know, all right, I need a plan for this carnival. And then they start looking around what events are happening. And so with partnerships like Bahamas Carnival Guide and Playmas today, those are great collaboration for us because not everybody will know about Lavi who's never been to the Bahamas, but they will easily find those pages online that speaks about what to do about in the Bahamas Carnival. These are events to go. And so with those collaborations for Lavi, people could then see, okay, this isn't all inclusive. They can see stuff that we've done in the past. We tried to, and I spoke to a few people who they knew they were coming to the Bahamas Carnival, but they waited a while. They say longer than they normally do to purchase their tickets. And one individual was like, because I'm not really sure about Bahamas Carnival, I've never been. I didn't really know what tickets, what events to go to. Now they knew for most people they're going to play Juve. So Juve, we only have one Juve, so that's easy for them. But when it comes into like what are we doing, like Friday daytime, Friday night, and the rest of the weekend, that's where they have to decide. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to do all of it. And so we try to present ourselves as the best option. right? We're not the only option, but we want people to see us as the best option. And so that's with our marketing, and our marketing helps a lot. And this year, we partnered with someone who's been doing our marketing for the past few years, and she's been amazing. I have to say, I'm sorry, shout out to Jasmine. I have to give her a shout out. She has done an amazing job with her reach as well and targeting certain places internationally. So targeting certain markets in Canada, different places in the US, around the Caribbean. And so we try our best to market strategically internationally as fast as possible.
Well, compressing your promotional timeline, I'm sure it's massive stress on the operation. What internal frame or supply chain adjustments kept the actual production from buckling under the shortened lead time? Or was there?
No, honestly, this year we didn't have any stress at all. I don't know if it's because we've been doing this now for a while, and it's the same team, so everybody knows their role. And again, shout outs to my team. I just can't speak enough about my team. Everybody knows their role and their responsibilities, and so they know what needs to happen when it needs to happen. And so I just need to huddle everybody together and then just do a status check. Hey, how are we on this? And they get a thumbs up or it's coming. How are we on that? And so on and so on. And so we knew with this year being an election year, it was going to be difficult, right? And so I didn't put any added pressure on like, previous years, like, okay, how are we on this? How are we on that? Because I know everyone, the entire country was on election mode. So putting that added pressure on people, I think we would have had a lot of friction had I not been cognizant of realizing that, hey, I need to give people space until we get through this election period. And then obviously, once election happens, give a little bit more time for people to breathe and detox from all of that was going on. You have some people that's directly involved in the political scheme, either physically or emotionally. So I had to be cognizant of that as well. And then once that all died down, okay, we're good. Now we can hit the ground running. And we did. We surely 100% hit the ground running. Again, for great marketing, we was able to tie in the whole election thing and made it fun with our marketing. We had post marketing material playing off of the election fever of our event. I know that wouldn't have resonated too much with international get people coming over because obviously they don't know about elections or what's happening. But that did help a lot with our local market, and we got good positive response from that. So I'm happy to say that we didn't really have any stress with a compressed timeline this year. Yeah, again.
I know that shorter timelines can usually put a lot of stress on people that are in charge, but if your team had it together and you guys had already planned for the mayhem that happens during this particular season, then that's great. A premium all inclusive fails if its supply line is stalled. What does the logistical blueprint look like to ensure that top shelf liquor assets and curated Caribbean culinary stations never hit a bottleneck during peak hours of your event?
Yeah, great question. This one took a while for us to fine tune. I am someone that prepares with a plan B, C, and D. That's always been me. I always move in that manner. And so, even in regards to planning for this year, touching back on even the very, very last point, I put things in place like reminders. So, I put calendar dates on my calendar, remind me, okay, you have 120 days out, you need to do this. You have 100 days out, this needs to be in place. You have 80 days out, this needs to be in place, and so on. And so those reminders help quite a bit. And then tying in all of our supply. The worst thing you can have that I believe going to an all inclusive is to run out of something. So if I pay my money for an all inclusive and you are telling me that you have an all inclusive event, I don't want to hear at any point that you don't have this. Like, what do you mean you don't have any more drinks? Or, and then of course, you can have drinks, but if you don't have my drink, then that means you don't have any drink. Because I don't care about everything else that you serve. I want my drink. What do you mean you don't have any more Johnny Walker? What? Yeah, so that's a problem, right? I don't want anyone to ever hear those words. And so I make sure that we definitely have great supply. We work again with a great catering team. The chef is part of our team, so that helps a lot. And he's very experienced in catering functions, so he knows the numbers, he knows of the backup, and that's why we have waves and waves of food. That's another kudos we tend to get that a lot of people say, and I can attest to this myself, having been to quite a few all inclusive. Food runs out, right? And so La Vie, we have food until the very end. We have a wave specifically designed. It's called last meal. That's just basically your chicken in the bag, your sauce, your local behemoth thing. And so you can take that out the door with you as you leave. And for me, I think that provides another level of a great experience. So even at the end of the night, you don't have to leave La Vie and go try to find a late night spot to get something to eat, right? Because you're ready, you ate early in the day and now you're hungry, right? You can leave out the door with something to eat. And so we plan for that. And also too, like last year, I'll admit, we did run into some issues last year with ice and a certain brand of alcohol, tequila. And that's because not that we didn't plan for it adequately, but we got hit with a new variable. And a new variable is we had a lot more foreign visitors last year. Last year, at that point, that was the most foreign visitors to La Vie we've ever had. And so we had to take into account that a lot of visitors, especially if they're from the US, they want tequila. Like tequila is a thing right now. Like, yes, Johnny Walker, Hennessy, they're the carnival drinks, but not everybody wants that brown liquor. They want white, right? And they want tequila. And so thankfully, I had a member of our team had a connection, someone that owns their own liquor store, and so they came in clutch and providing us like right away on time. So we maybe had like a downtime of running out of tequila for maybe like 30 minutes, and that was perfect for the rest of the night. We were good for the rest of the night, and then with ice played a potential issue for us last year because it was so hot. It was so hot last year that even though with all of the ice we had, it was just going so quickly because it's just that hot. People just coming for cups of ice, right? And so thankfully, again, we was able to make sure that we didn't run out of ice last year. And so for this year, when we have those type of things, we learn from lessons of the past. And so for this year, I was able to have a partnership with the same liquor store that helped us out last year, and they just stood on standby. They stood on standby until 11 o'clock with package for us just in case we needed it. And, one or two times we did have to touch into that for something, but to have that was amazing just to have them on standby. Because again, this is a holiday that we host this on. So that means nothing is open. Yes, there's nothing
Yeah.
open. So if what you did not receive by Thursday, close of business, which is the day before, then you have a tough time, right? And for the all inclusive, man, that could be stressful, right? So we make sure we stock up on abundance of ice. And so we had additional ice at an offsite, and we had additional alcohol at an offsite just in case we need it. We're good to go. So I'm happy to say that we ran out of nothing for La Vie as we always designed to, and everyone had a great experience, food and drink wise.
Your integration of elements like the signature Johnny Walker Lounge represents high level experiential partnerships. How do you vet and design corporate activations so they seamlessly elevate the visual aesthetics rather than feel like an intrusive advertisement?
Great question. By asking them to show their vision, like what is their vision? Yeah, I don't believe in just because you're a corporate sponsor that I don't have a preview of what you plan to present. Because La Vie is a brand and we want to provide a certain experience. And even though you may want to be a sponsor, if you don't align with what La Vie is about, then it's not going to work. And I have to say, I have turned down a few sponsors because I just didn't think it was the right fit. I don't regret it at all. Like the money, the materials, could have gone a long way, but it's not. I didn't feel it was the right fit, and I bring everything to the team, and the team felt the same way, right? And so we were okay with not receiving those type of partnerships. Thankfully, Commonwealth Brewery, they have brands like Johnny Walker, which is well known throughout the Caribbean. We have obviously Hennessy again, which was our Title One this year, which is well known and wanting to step it up more. And so they were happy to share their vision with us and what they wanted to present and what they wanted to showcase. And it was 100% in line with what La Vie is all about. And because of that, that came off seamless this year. That was another great experience for people visiting or coming to La Vie. They were thrilled about it. It was happy to put on a new element through a partnership.
For me, it's always about the music. Audio curation dictates the mood of a luxury space. How do you brief your DJ lineup to ensure the musical energy matches the upscale and without compromising the raw vibes? Because
Yeah, I am.
again, this is supposed to be an upscale space, but we are in the heartbeat of Carnival at this point.
Yeah, I vet the talent selection very carefully. Sometimes, some of my team members may say too stringently, right? But I do that because it's important. you could be having a great time, but the music is a major factor in in you having a great time, a great experience. And so I don't want to put someone there that can throw everyone out of their comfort zone. And so that's important on who we have presenting music. And it's important that we encompass, this is Carnival, and so we encompass all of the familiar soca tunes from old to present, but also a bit of Bahamian culture music as well, because at the end of the day, this is Bahamas Carnival. And so it's important that some Bahamian music is represented, some folks who hosting the event understand Bahamian culture. Like I've been to so many events around the world, and they're calling every country noon, right? And the Bahamas never gets called. You know, I like they call it every country, and then they don't call it Bahamas. And so I'm like, okay, we have to make sure the Bahamas Carnival is always well represented, right? The Bahamas is well represented. And so I want, if somebody is hosting La Vie, and they understand that, right? And so they understand more than just Nassau. They understand the Bahamas is made up of multiple islands. They can interact with the crowd and ask people, you know, where are you from? And they can call different islands, right? And then as well as, hey, are you from Canada? Are you from New York? Are you from Miami? And so on. But I don't want to be just events in the Bahamas as well, too, where the individual hosting is just calling international places. Hey, are you from Trinidad? Are you from Jamaica? And they never touch on somewhere in the Bahamas. And for me, it's like, or what they'll do is they'll just encompass the entire Bahamas. And who's from the Bahamas? And I'm like, okay, so
Right.
you break down
Like,
multiple
yeah.
places. Yeah, you break down multiple places in the US. But then the only thing you know is who's from the Bahamas. You're in Nassau. You're not even saying who's from Nassau. You know,
Right.
it's like make sure like people who's at La Vie understand that assignment. And thankfully, you know, I can say that everyone selected understood the assignment.
Looking back at the execution on June 5th, what was the single toughest operational hurdle your team solved on the fly? And what did it reveal about the evolving Bahamian carnival ecosystem?
Single toughest issue we had on the day of. I can say we had some potential issues the day before, and it was due to us potentially not having a majority of our alcohol. And that's because, again, yeah, that there was a holiday the day before. And so, not just a holiday, but also a very big parade, like Labor Day. Labor Day parade is a huge parade in the
Right.
Bahamas, takes place in Nassau. So and so, of course, everyone wants to have a party or an event across the island, and so trying to get alcohol or ice and stuff like that if you haven't done that days in advance, it's very difficult. And so with us, it took quite a while to the point of panicking that we may not have had alcohol, and so that was definitely a stress level that I hope not to have in the future. But it all worked out. Got everything we needed that we were supposed to have gotten. And so the day of the event, I can say that the only thing we had to worry about is okay, is it going to rain? The forecast is a little choppy. It was predicting about 30% chance of rain, and I'm happy to say that it never rained. You know,
Mm.
so we were just wondering, okay, should we start to bring out everything now? It's saying that it's supposed to rain around this time. Should we delay? Should we wait? And we was like, all right, let's just get started. And if it rains, then we'll stop. And thankfully, it never happened. So we didn't have to worry about that. You know, everyone from the sound, lights, production, decoration, everybody executed flawlessly. Again, our CBL, our sponsor, their teams executed flawlessly. They were on site early with the setup, and yeah, I mean, everything went off without a hitch on the day of. Thankfully,
Is there a contingency plan if it rains?
yeah, you know,
Because you have a plan A, B, C, D, F, elemental P.
hmm
You got to have a rain plan in there.
yeah, party in the rain. You know, we got party in the rain.
Okay.
I will say the only contingency that I do have is we order more tents. We order more tents, which definitely takes away from, it's not as aesthetically appealing coming into the event and it's just a bunch of tents, but at least you can move around from section to section without being drenched, right? And then because the grounds is not concrete, it's part gravel, part a little bit of it, parts of it are concrete, and then the majority of it is grass. Even if the rain stops, then the grass is soaking wet, right? And so we just have tents on standby. So if we need to pitch them during the rain, we can at least do one of two things. We can at least keep the grass as dry as possible, so when the rain does stop, we can quickly break the tents down and people can move around. Or if we have to keep the tents up during the event until it stops raining, then at least it's something better than nothing. And obviously, we can't cover the entire grounds with tents because it's just too big. But that
I
is
would
my only backup plan.
You know how water works, right? It drains. So it doesn't matter if you can have the tents up. The water still soaks into the bottom of the earth and then the earth gets wet.
I know, I know. You know, it's just one of those things. Is like you could do your best, but we're going to party in the rain. We're going to get wet.
All right. Well, I mean, still come. So just know if it ever decides to rain on that date, still come. You might want to
Yes.
wear your rain boots if you visiting. Then find some flip flops or your beach shoes and make it out to La Vie. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
that's the solution.
Yeah, that's the solution. Yeah, we just have fun with it. But La Vie is still going to happen.
Right.
It's still going to go on. So come.
Right. Now that the 2026 data layer is settled, what elements of Lavi's framework are being permanently redesigned or expanded for 2027 season?
That's still in discussion. We have some potential changes. I don't want to release it too soon. We have a team meeting scheduled actually for this coming weekend to start talking about some of those potential changes. And so don't want to get into that too much because it's not finalized, but we are talking about some potential changes for La Vie in terms of services we offered and then just La Vie as a whole, the experience.
How does V Promotion intend to future proof its position as the elite standard of the weekend?
By continuing to execute as we've always done and provide our customers with a great experience that we want it to be bar none, but something that they will always remember. There are a lot of big names in Bahamas Carnival that provide exclusive events. Every country has like that one big one, and then there are a few other ones. Cannot focus on what may come in the future. We're going to focus on this year. We're going to provide a better experience than last year. And so, if that year does come, that another, and I'm not going to call any of the other events name, by if the year comes when one of them decides to enter the market, then I can only hope that we've provided a great event for numerous years. And so we stand on our reputation. And of course, some people will choose to go to wherever they want to go. But if they go to something else, I want it to be that, oh man, damn, I should have gone to Lovey.
I should have went to La Vie.
Mm-hmm.
I should have went there. I don't know. I've seen the
Mm-hmm.
photos. I've seen the videos. I mean, I've heard the conversation about it. I should have went to La Vie, but instead I'm
Yep.
here inside the party,
Exactly.
ankle deep in water.
But same audience.
But to be totally honest, in 2026, you said in 2025 you had to date the largest amount of international participants since your inception. What did 2026 look like? Do you feel that the weekend itself is a local product inclusive of international national attendees, or is it an international product inclusive of local attendees?
Definitely an international product inclusive of local attendees. There's definitely more international engagement than there is local. And that's today. Before, it was a lot more local involvement, but the transition after 2020, after COVID, obviously we were off for COVID for 2020, 21, 2022, I think. Since then, Bahamas Carnival has never truly recovered on all levels, actually, in terms of international attendees as well as local participation. So I would definitely we try to engage the local market as much as possible, and it's not just V Promotions La Vie; it's Bahamas Carnival as a whole, all the promoters. But again, locals are just not. For whatever reason, maybe it's a lot of other things going on. Still buying into carnival experience overall. There's obviously still some resistance to carnival being in the Bahamas, as people say. It's not a native thing. It's not a local thing. Give me my junk canoe, but it's still international product, and I have no doubt that as more and more international folks come down to the Bahamas to experience Bahamas Carnival, more and more locals will definitely buy into it. Because one thing I know for sure, my people, the humans, we have FOMO. And so we're not going to miss out. If we see all these people coming in and they're talking on social media, FOMO is going to kick in hard and they're going to want to be a part of it.
Yes. I think that is the strategy for the next at least 2 years.
Mhm.
Let's hit them with the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Let the other people be the ambassadors for the experience because
Mhm.
we can actively see that their experience and they're telling people this is where you need to be. Lastly, before we get out of here, I want you to speak to the weekend, your weekend experience, because I know you had your event on the Friday. But I don't care what city, what country, what place I'm in. Like I have to do a Juve because Juve is the closest thing to freedom.
Yeah, hands
So
down.
tell us your weekend experience with Bahamas Carnival and on your meter, where did
Yeah, so I'm like you. No matter Juve, all inclusive, and the road. Like that's my three. Anything outside of that is a bonus. That's the bare minimum. So for me, it's no different at Bahamas Carnival. So Thursday night, it's no secret, no debating what's going to go down, and that's Juve, right? And there's only at this time there's only one Juve band. There was more than one previously, but only one exists today, and that's the only one that we. I am good friends with the promoters behind there, so I stand up against any one of them in other countries. They provide a great experience on the road, and though it may not, their comments and their feedback on their social media pages and their posts and stuff speaks for itself. Juve is a great experience to do on Thursday. Outside of Thursday, obviously, what I'm doing on Friday, I would love to go to some of the early events on Friday. That's something new, and I love it. Before the Friday was just kind of like nothing's really going on during the daytime, and then you have some events at night. But last year, we started to fill the calendar a bit more. Actually, we started to fill the calendar more from the Wednesday now, and so we are giving folks coming for Bahamas Carnival better experience that people can come down from Wednesday morning and they have something to do on a Wednesday. You got something on a Thursday. You have options on the Thursday. You got options on the Friday, and then obviously Saturday's the road. This year they started the road later in the day, which was kind of debatable. Even myself kind of questioned. I was like, oh, we started on the road very late this year at 3 p.m. But I was 100% sold when I was out there. When there was a pause for everyone to take pictures along the sea wall with the sunset behind, that was genius. I have to admit. And everybody's taking pictures on the wall. I mean, for everywhere I've been, and of course, I haven't been to every carnival, but I've been to quite a few. There's nowhere that you can take pictures on a seawall like that and get that type of view. And so, if we as Bahamas Carnival able to market just that experience, I think that right there would be a gold ticket because who would not want a picture in their costume on the wall and the backdrop is just ocean and that sunset and like that. I thought, that turned out to be genius. So definitely kudos to the team behind making that happen. And so, that turned out to be great. And then obviously you have Sunday. Sunday you have events going on Sunday from the morning all the way to the night. And so anyone coming to Bahamas Carnival can have a great experience.
Well, there you have it. Bahamas Carnival 2026 is a wrap. La vie. From everything that I'm hearing in these cyber streets, you guys did your thing once again, and you're constantly outdoing yourself. So congratulations. Let
Thank you.
everybody know how they can find out, how they can keep up with you, how they can find out more information about the things that you guys have coming up, and when they can start getting ready for Bahamas Carnival 2027.
So you can start getting ready for Bahamas Carnival 2027 now. The dates are out. You can follow us on V Promotions 242 across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all other channels. You can hit us up at vpromotions.com if you want to hit directly to the website. And then I would always recommend, I tell everyone, other than our direct page, follow Bahamas Carnival Guide and Playmaster Day. I love to promote, and I will always promote V Promotions, but without Bahamas Carnival, there would be no V Promotions. And so, Bahamas Carnival as a product, definitely follow Playmaster Day, Bahamas Carnival Guide for your entire Bahamas Carnival weekend. So after you book your tickets for La Vie, then plan out the rest of the weekend.
There you go. This has been another episode of Inside the Festival right here on carnivalradio.live, syndicated across Discover Music Channel by Playmaster.today. Until next time,